Welcome back to my channel, beloved. I'm Sophia, an acupuncture physician, fitness instructor, holistic health doctor, and today we are going to be continuing to talk about what we were talking about in part one of this little video series. This video series is called My Secrets to Insane Hair Growth, the Natural Way. In part one, we were talking about the component of hair growth, which is, actual hair growth from the scalp. And in this part of the video series, we're going to be talking about length retention. So if you have not yet seen part one, I will link it in the description box below. Make sure that you check out part one because you don't want to miss, because that's like the other half of the story. But today we're going to be focusing on length retention. So what we're talking about is, once your hair starts to grow out healthy from the scalp, how do you make sure that you're actually keeping your hair, that it's not falling out, that it's not breaking, that it is not damaged, so that it can look amazing and also grow to its maximum potential. All right, so the first thing you need to know in order to ensure that you keep all of your hair and that it does not break is going to sound very counterintuitive. You may have definitely heard this before, but I never wanted to believe this. And this is that you need to trim your hair frequently, okay? I would say around every 3 to 4 months, you want to trim your hair up somewhere between ½ inch to 1 inch. It doesn't need to be dramatic trims. I would not recommend that, because then of course you are going to start to affect that length in your hair. But you do want to trim it every 3 or 4 months, because what you're doing by doing this is that you're kind of beating your hair to the punch, okay? So the hair that is down here at the tips is very old, right? It's been around since it grew out from the top, for a long time. So of course, due to several factors that damage the hair, which we're going to talk about in a second, once your hair gets down to the bottom, it is very prone to split ends and it is prone to breakage here at the bottom. But what happens is that your hair it would be so nice if your hair would just break evenly here from the bottom, and then it would be like kind of trimming itself, right? But that's not what happens. We all know that's not what happens. The hair does not break off from the bottom evenly. Sometimes it just splits and opens and it creates a very damaged look at the bottom of the hair. Sometimes it breaks from here, sometimes it breaks from here, sometimes it breaks from here. So by cutting off all of those split ends frequently, what you're going to ensure is that the tip of each individual strand stays like blunt, intact, and healthy, so that your hair is going to be able to actually grow out longer. If you don't believe me, I actually trimmed my hair just a few weeks ago. My hair was actually longer than this. So I have already gotten into this very good habit, and I am no longer resistant to doing this. I used to trim my hair like, I kid you not, once every 6 months to a year, because I foolishly thought that if I would trim my hair more often, my hair would never grow. But it's actually the opposite. You got to trim your hair frequently to keep it healthy, to take off the split ends, so that your hair does continue to grow, and not only so that it grows, but so that it looks full at the bottom, okay? You can just go a long time without cutting your hair, and yeah, to an extent it'll grow kind of, but it's gonna look very stringy and damaged toward the bottom. You're not gonna have that nice fullness all the way through from the top all the way to the bottom. Which brings me to my next point, which is there are certain haircuts that are more conducive to creating the look of fuller, thicker hair, and there are other haircuts that are not, right? So I used to always cut my hair in layers because I thought that it would give me more volume at the top of my hair, and because I thought that it just was, made the hair look nice. It gave it movement, it gave it texture. But I started realizing that because of always cutting my hair in layers, plus, you know, a lot of damage, it started to look kind of stringy at the bottom. So I recommend that if you are trying to create the look of thicker, fuller, longer hair, that you go for more of a blunt haircut, right? So you just kind of cut your hair straight across at the bottom, or you can do kind of like a U shape, but you don't want to be doing too much layering, because what's going to happen is going to start to break. Think of this, it's going to, if your hair is cut in layers, right, you're going to have a layer down, like hair down here, and you're going to have like a layer like ending here. When you get split ends on this piece of hair, it's going to create like damage and like that stringy look around here, and then also around here. So again, nothing wrong with layers, by the way. Layers are beautiful. They do give that nice like textured look in the hair. But again, in this video series, we are talking about hair length and thickness and fullness. So if you want to create that look, go for more of a blunt haircut, and that is going to make your hair look fuller, longer, and thicker. All right. I started doing this about like a year and a half ago, by the way, cutting my hair more in a blunt cut, and it like a year and a half, and it made a very big difference. It really like pushed forward like my hair growing out and looking fuller, thicker, and better. All right, so the next thing is, oh my God, I'm like afraid to bring this up because I think you guys are gonna get mad at me. But I'm just being real with you guys. I'm just telling you the truth. The truth is that if you want to grow out your hair, your natural hair, to its maximum potential, you have to stop chemically treating your hair. All right. I know what many of you are probably thinking. You're probably going to say, no, but I have an amazing hairstylist. She or he really knows how to protect and take care of my hair so that it doesn't break and it doesn't get damaged and blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah, whatever, maybe. But the truth is that even the best stylists cannot beat the harsh effects of bleach, ammonia, peroxide, let alone the health damaging effects of formaldehyde that you're breathing in. When you bleach, and especially when you lighten your hair, what you're basically doing is you're opening up the hair follicle. You're kind of like roughing up the hair cuticle. And that is going to lead to breakage. Keratin treatments, which I used to do all the time. Well, I was starting to do them, and then I stopped because I realized sooner rather than later what was happening. They require like very intense heat from a flat iron to seal in the product. In fact, when you go to get a keratin treatment, a lot of times a stylist will tell you on the front end that after the treatment you may need to trim your hair because the bottom of the hair is most likely going to be damaged. Okay, it is what it is. Plus the keratin treatments, most of them do have formaldehyde, which you're breathing in. So from a holistic health perspective, this really isn't good for you anyway. So just do yourself a favor, save your hair, save your scalp, save your body, and save your money too. The other thing is that once you start messing with chemical treatments, whether it's hair color or like keratin treatments or other things like that, what happens is that it creates like a cycle of dependence. So you're going to have to keep dyeing your hair or doing your highlights, or you're going to have to keep doing that keratin treatment so that it continues to look good. And this creates a cycle of dependence, because if you don't do it, then your hair doesn't look good. So then you want to keep doing it and you keep damaging the hair. You see what I'm saying? So break the cycle of dependence. Just grow out your natural color, grow out your natural texture. God did not make a mistake when he made you a brunette or a blonde or with curly hair or with straight hair or any type of hair, really. Okay, if you focus on the health of your hair is going to look great, and you're not going to need all that stuff, I promise you. Now the next thing is to stop the heat damage, okay? This is a big one. Like I said, you need to embrace your natural hair texture and stop abusing your hair with flat irons, curling irons, blow dryers, and even the wrong types of brushes can rip your hair. I was the queen of trying to keep perfectly straight hair in high school and college. Number one, because it was the style trend that was around at the time. It was in style to have your hair like stick straight. And also because the truth is that I could not accept that God made me with curly hair, and I never wanted to wear it naturally. I always wanted to have, you know, the straight look. And so every single time that I would wash my hair, I would always heat style my hair. I'd be in the bathroom for hours. It would take me about an hour and a half to just blow dry the hair, like to get it to that straight perfection that I wanted. And then I would go over it with the flat iron for like 40 minutes. Like I cringe thinking about this now. And then as I got a little older, that stick straight hair wasn't so much the fashion anymore, but then it was more about like the tousled waves. So I would have to blow out my hair and then do the curling iron to kind of get like those soft waves. And again, it took so much time, and it was just damaging my hair, to the point where I would feel like if I didn't heat style the hair, I couldn't wear it without doing something to it, because it just didn't look good. It would be frizzy, damaged, it would look dry. So once I started to focus on the health of my hair and taking care of it versus forcing it to conform to a particular style or trend, that's when it actually started to look good in its natural state. Okay, I now have wash and wear hair. I did not do any heat styling to my hair at all. I don't even have products in my hair. All I have in it is argan oil. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But it's funny because I'm sharing with you this with you now because I never ever thought that I would get to this state. Like, and I know many of you out there are probably thinking the same thing. Like, what are you talking about? How can I not do anything to my hair and it look good? I promise you, if you do what I'm telling you, watch part 1 and do what I tell you to do in part 1, and then do what I'm telling you to do now and do it over time, your hair will get to that wash and wear state. I promise you that it can. So if there's one thing that I really want you to take from this little video series is the following. You gotta love your hair and love yourself. Hair trends come and go, but confidence stemming from self-acceptance radiates beauty that is timeless and never goes out of style, all right? Healthy, shiny hair is never gonna go out of style. I promise you, it's not, okay? It's just gonna make you have your own unique look and style all the time, right? Because everyone's hair is a little different. Instead of everyone trying to go for that same, you know, look that's in style and everyone just looking kind of the same, instead of being able to admire, you know, the health and the beauty of everyone's own natural hair. Wouldn't that be amazing? So the next thing that you need to do is to have that really beautiful, healthy, natural hair is you've got to cut back or eliminate products. And I know all of you are like about to turn off the video at this point because you're like, what? I can't chemically treat my hair. I can't dye my hair. I can't heat style my hair. And now you're telling me that I can't even wear products? Are you crazy? No, I'm not. But I was crazy when I was doing all of those things, okay? And actually, let me back up for just a second here. So what we were just talking about before with the chemical treating and the heat treating of the hair, what it does is all of those things together, they break down what are called the disulfide bonds in your hair, okay? So imagine each hair, every strand of hair, imagine it as a shoestring, right? As you know, a shoestring isn't just made up of one thread. It's made up of multiple threads together that when you pull them, they don't break, right? So imagine if you went inside the shoestring and you started like cutting one thread and then another thread and then another thread, and then you pull the shoestring, eventually it's gonna break. So that's exactly what happens every time that you heat style your hair, every time you chemically treat your hair, and even from the hair elastics, they do that too. They break down the disulfide bonds in the hair. Now, of course, I understand you're going to need to tie up your hair at some point. I need to do it too, right? I teach fitness classes. I cannot be having my hair down all the time. I get it. But imagine that you're doing all of those things together. You're chemically treating the hair, you are heat styling your hair, and then you're tying your hair back with, you know, like very aggressively or tightly or whatever. Imagine you're doing all of those things. You're going to be breaking down those disulfide bonds in the hair, and eventually the hair is gonna break, right? And as it breaks, it's gonna look thinner, right? And then you're gonna have to cut it more. So if you just eliminate that stuff in the first place, again, your hair is not gonna break and it's not gonna get damaged, and then it's gonna look nice in its natural state, and you're not gonna have to, like, you know, cut off as much. You're just gonna get away with just doing some small little maintenance trims. You feel me? You see what I'm saying? So, all right, so most products contain a lot of alcohol that dry out your hair over time, and silicones and waxes and a bunch of other crap that create buildup on your scalp. And as we already discussed in part 1, this inhibits new hair growth because it congests the scalp. It clogs the pores in the scalp. It blocks or even kills off the new hair follicles, right? So if you never use products on your hair, or very few, you know, or very natural products, then you're not going to need to clarify or deep clean the hair as much. And by not having to do that, you're not going to unbalance the pH of the scalp, right? And the scalp is going to stay healthy. So you see how all of this works together. Like I said, it's all a cycle, either like the unhealthy cycle or the healthy cycle. So you want to be in the healthy cycle when it comes to your hair. So, products also create a dependence, right? Because like I said, like the products, they contain alcohol, so they dry out the hair. And so then what happens is that you start to feel like you can't live without them, right? Your hair like just won't look good if you don't have a bunch of products in them. I was also the queen of this, by the way. I would, like, even when I would wear my hair natural, like curly, I had like a lineup of like 6 or 7 products that I had to apply in a specific order, okay? I would tie up the hair in sections, and all of those like 7 products I would put on the hair like piece by piece, okay? And I really believed that I needed all of them in order for my hair to look a particular way or look good. In addition, from a holistic health perspective, most products contain perfumes, parabens, and other things that can be endocrine disruptors that tamper with your hormones and your precious organs. And like we talked about again in part 1, you need your hormones to be balanced in order for you to have optimal hair growth. Again, you see, it's a cycle. It all goes together. So save your money, save your body, save your scalp. So now I know you're probably wondering, so what do I put on my hair anyway? You've told me that I can't do all of this stuff. What can I do to make my hair look good in its natural state so that I don't have to do all of that stuff? All right. So first of all, remember what I talked about in part 1 with the castor oil treatments, which, by the way, I recognize that I forgot to mention to you in part 1 how often to do the castor oil treatment. You really want to try to do this as often as possible, definitely once a week, maybe twice a week at first, but I would say that once a week is enough. I do it once a week, but I've been doing it now for, we're going on like 3 years now. And I'm telling you, I do it every single time. I do not miss like one wash where I don't do the castor oil before, because I have just seen such an incredible difference since I started doing it. When you first start doing the castor oil treatments, what you're gonna notice is you're gonna start to get these little baby hairs growing out. And at first, those little baby hairs are gonna be annoying. This is what my girlfriends tell me all the time. They're like, oh my God, I'm getting these little baby hairs growing out and they're kind of frizzy and they're like sticking out. I don't know what to do. Just wait, be patient, and continue to do the castor oil treatments every week. Because like I mentioned, that new hair that grows out is gonna have more keratin in it. So as it grows and grows and grows, I promise you, you're not gonna need as many products to keep your hair smooth and shiny and frizz-free and manageable. It's gonna kind of take care of itself on its own. But in the meantime, and even afterward, this is what I do now to style my hair after when I wash it. So what you are going to use is a gentle sulfate-free shampoo and a good conditioner that, as much as possible, is naturally derived, free of silicones, parabens, and artificial fragrances. That is your best bet. And then what you're going to do is you're going to pre-condition your hair with my other best friend. So best friend number 1 is castor oil. Best friend number 2 is coconut oil. All right, you're going to pre-condition your hair with coconut oil. Let me show you how to do it. So every week when you do the castor oil treatment, like we discussed in part 1, you remember I said you put the castor oil only on the roots. So you might be wondering, well, what do I put on the rest of the hair? That's where the coconut oil comes in. You're gonna put in the coconut oil from about the mid shaft all the way down. You can be generous with it, okay? Make sure that you're, coating all of the hair. Don't just put in like a quarter-sized amount and assume that that's gonna be enough. Unless your hair is very short or very thin at the beginning, then that may be enough. But all I'm trying to say is make sure that, all of your hair is getting treated with that coconut oil. So you're gonna put the coconut oil on, and again, you're gonna leave it on overnight. You're gonna do this the day before you wash your hair, or you can leave on that whole mix of oils, the castor oil at the top and the coconut oil on the bottom, for a couple days if you want to. That is perfectly fine, and I highly recommend it, okay? So then what you're gonna do is that when you wash your hair, you are going to leave a bit of conditioner in the hair, okay? First of all, always wash your hair with cold water. Cold water. Why? Because the hot water, which I used to love and always use, messes with the pH balance of the scalp. The same as with your skin. That's why you shouldn't wash your skin with hot water, but rather cool or cold water. Same with your hair. It's gonna help your scalp, and then also the cold water is gonna seal the cuticle so that you're gonna have less frizz and the hair is gonna be shinier. It's gonna look hydrated and moist. It's gonna look awesome, I promise you, especially if you do the coconut oil before. Now the other thing is that what you wanna do is in the shower, you want to detangle your hair when the conditioner is on the hair, so that you're not having to rip it or tug at it too harshly. You want to use a wide tooth comb. You're going to start from the tips, working your way up. I was the queen of yanking at my hair, thinking that I was going to break through those knots. That is not the case. You're just going to break your hair. So be patient. Do it with love. You have to treat your hair like a very delicate, fine silk if you want it to look that way, all right? So detangle the hair with a wide tooth comb. Then you're gonna either wash out the conditioner and put in a little bit of conditioner as you're getting out of the shower, just kind of like as a leave-in, or you can just leave a little bit of the conditioner on, meaning don't wash it out completely. I kind of do both, to be honest. I don't wash it out completely, and then I put in a little bit more conditioner on my hand, and I just kind of very softly work it through the hair as I'm getting out of the shower. Now, here's the key. Once you get out of the shower, you're not gonna be messing with your hair too much, right? So detangle it prior to. This especially applies to curly haired girls like myself. If you have curly hair, you know what I'm talking about. You cannot be brushing or messing with your hair too much as it starts to dry, because if you do, the curls will not be defined and it will lead to frizz. I'm not an expert when it comes to straight hair, like naturally straight hair, but I would assume that it would work for both people, okay? So again, leave a little bit of conditioner in the hair, detangle it when you're in the shower with the conditioner on, and once you get out, don't brush the hair too much. This is in order to be able to air dry your hair, okay? And then the other thing that you are going to put on it is my third best friend, which is completely natural and pure. That's why I love it so much, which is Argan Oil. I love Argan Oil. I'm obsessed with Argan Oil, all right? I would buy stock in Argan Oil too, okay? Now, again, when you buy your Argan Oil, it's very inexpensive. It's very easy to find, but just make sure that it's pure, that it is not mixed with other stuff, other oils or anything synthetic. Just go for the pure natural Argan Oil. That's all you need. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna put some of the Argan Oil like in your hand, and also you can apply Argan Oil when your hair is wet, damp, or dry, or all three. But I suggest that you put it on when it's wet. Why? Again, so that as your hair starts to dry, you don't have to mess with it too much. You're not gonna have to be like, you know, it's already starting to dry in its own shape, right? And you want it to like keep that shape as it dries. So now, another thing that I really highly recommend, don't ever tie up your hair in that twisty towel thing that all of us have done. I used to do this forever, especially when I was going to heat style my hair, because I thought, well, I want to, you know, dry it as much as possible. I mean, everybody does it. I don't really know why we do that, to be honest, but we just all do it. It's like our go-to, right? We twist up the hair in like that turvy twist towel thing. But don't do that. Instead, get a microfiber towel and just blot the hair like this. Blot it, squeeze it, and blot it. Again, treat it like a very fine, delicate silk, okay? I promise. And that's what it's gonna start to look like. Use a microfiber towel to dry the hair. Put a little bit of Argan Oil on the hair. Once the hair is dry, like sometimes, like once my hair dried, if it did come out with like a little bit of frizz, then I'll get a little bit more Argan Oil and I'll just kind of go over like that part that maybe needs a little bit more polish, all right? Now, for girls with straight hair, I would, again, I'm not an expert, but I would assume that one thing that maybe you can do to like style your hair kind of in a way and not have to heat style it is that you can let the hair air dry, and once it's dry, not when it's wet, this would be terrible, once it's dry, maybe you can put your hair in a braid or a couple of braids, or you can twist it up into like a bun and maybe pin it so that, and maybe you can leave it on overnight or for a few hours so that when you let the hair down, it does have a bit of a shape to it, some nice waves, you know, or like loose curls. That's just an idea, but I'm honestly not an expert when it comes to straight hair. As you can see, I don't have it. In fact, if you have any tips on how to style straight hair naturally without having to heat style it, please put them in the comments below. I'm actually very curious to know so that I can share it with other people. But that is actually pretty much all I have for you guys. So my beloveds, I promise you, if you do all of this for a few months or even longer, hopefully, or forever, you are going to love me even more. And I would appreciate you guys writing to me in the comments and letting me know how this process is going for you. Let me know whatever questions you have. I am happy to answer them. I understand this is new. This is like a new way of life for people. It was for me, believe me. But I'm so happy that I did make the commitment and that I was consistent with this, because now I'm at the point where I can wash my hair and and let it air dry and feel pretty good about how it looks. It may not be perfect, but it's not bad, you know? And I know that I'm saving my hair. I know my hair is going to be able to grow long. I am 35 years old and my hair is still growing long and strong and healthy, and I want it to continue. I want it to be able to be long for as long as possible. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this series with me. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any more videos. I have a lot more coming for you. So thanks again. I love you all. Have a great evening. Mwah.